Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islamism without the schism. Want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, Allah, our Father God, Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj, Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Solstice session. I'm your host, instructor, Dr. Shahidi Mani Amohadi Shabazel, and my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawa Minti El Mohajid Shepsuel. And we have a powerful droid. As always, Moorish kin. And this particular drawing here is our last session in relation to dealing with the Arabic, introduction to the classical Arabic script of the Grand Quran of Muhammad. And we will be completing this in special measure, and just going into somewhat of a recap of everything it is that we have demonstrated thus far, and an open discussion in relation to dealing with the language. We gave our family also certain sources, to order, to further them in their perfection of the language, because that's the way that you really get the grand droid, where you go into, the actual language and you immerse yourself in it. And we have to do this with every particular script that we come across, basically, on our own time. And that's what's going to make us proficient. And so all we do as scribes is provide our people with the tools to be able to have a foundation, and then we got to use it and utilize it, and we become more elevated in these expressions. So we went over a lot of the Arabic. We the only people that are giving you the accurate history. We know exactly where Arabic come from. We know that it evolved out of the Demotic script in ancient Kemet indirectly. We can see the relation to the Demotic script and what it was called in Arabic. There's a name, and I want to ask my scribe, do you remember the name that is used for original Arabic? Can any one of our scribes give us that particular drawing? There's a certain term that they use. Anyone want to take a crack at it?
Mubarak.
Mudar.
Oh, Mudar. Mudar.
Yeah. That's our demonstration you talking about. But Mudar, so you still close. Mudar is the name. They call that original Arabic. Who was it that stated that? Ibn Khaldun. And Mustafa Gadala also quotes Ibn Khaldun in his book, The Egyptian Rumney. Y'all remember when Mustafa Gadala said that the Arabic is a derivative of the Mudar. But he also goes on to say in the Egyptian writing system that it was based off the Demotic. Now, though he said that, I had already did my research as well, so we came to the same conclusion, but I showed y'all the pictures of it. What a glyph, a law, and all that right there come from, the style of writing without the vowels. And there's a relation to all of that, but we understand, most definitely how this script evolved and the different styles of it. All you got to do is go through the history and you have it there. But it's important that we know this history because we see that it comes from us. You see, we see it didn't come from nobody else. It came from us. We show our people the pictures all the time, and it's undeniable. And just to emphasize it again, I'm gonna show you a prime example. I'm gonna do something real quick here, and then once I do this right here, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can do this, and then once I share this, once I share this, we can go a little further into this. There we go. Oh, this is perfect too. What I have right here. I'm gonna blow that up. I don't want to do a giveaway. Now I'm gonna share my screen real quick because we want to make sure I just do entire screen. Make sure we good. So you see this right here, family.
Islam.
And can you see the Arabic look to this script right here?
Yeah, can you blow it up?
Yeah, I just had it blowed. I thought I had it too big because it was looking distorted. Is that better? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Maybe this. My little screen over here. Let me get it not there. There we go, right there. Okay, now, there we go. That better, Brother Marvin Applebay?
Islam, yes, sir.
Okay, so you see, can you see the style in the way this is there?
Yes.
You see the similarity of it and how it looks like Arabic?
In a sense, yes.
And I'm talking about the cursive-like style, but this would be like Arabic without a lot of it. Some of it do have little dots here and there.
Oh, that those.
Yeah, some of them do have little dots on them. But like you can see certain things here. Like this looks similar to the lam. But I got actual other documents that show you where they changed that, and we done showed our people this before. But I'm just showing, like right here, just even on the Rosetta Stone, so to speak, the Demotic that's there. You can definitely see, almost like we say, an Arabic look. They got a couple of more of them. You can see where the Arabs would have the type of documents they would have copied this stuff from. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though they created their own script. You know, so we got a whole bunch of them in here. I got a lot in my archives that I had. But that one archive, we see that the actual old era. This is one of the ones I actually use right here. Let's see. Uh-oh. It didn't blow it up. Oh, there we go. This one right here. Yeah, this one here. This is one right here for a prime example. Look like almost Arabic on the stone. You see? Without the dots in the slashes and all of that.
Definitely look close.
You know?
Definitely.
And so this is the style that they adopted it from, like Mustafa Gadala said. Like I said, I had come to my own conclusion as well, you know, but when we go to the actual documents that I have, let's see. I'm trying to pull up this here. And this is good for our people who hadn't been here yet, who hadn't seen us, and they can get a drawing out of this as well. But y'all can go back to the original measures as well, family. Hold up, I'm trying to pull. What is that document? Let's see here. Okay. I want to go back to my language documents. Because there are more relations to this stuff here. Okay, not that one. Not that one. I want my alphabet chart. Not that one. Not that one. I may have to go to my actual documents to pull it up. Yeah, because they ain't pulling that up right there. So let's go to documents. Okay, we'll go to documents. We got all the documents right here. Okay, so it'll probably be in my AB. That's the Demotic. No, that's all the other alphabet. I ain't trying to go there. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Okay. I got so many in here, all this stuff here. I gotta clean my little computer up. I keep saying it, I just ain't been able to get to it right now, dealing with all these other job measures. Okay, not that one there. Come on, come on, come on. Not that one there. Not that one there. Okay, not that one there. Wasn't that one. Wasn't that one either. Okay, I think this one right here is definitely one that goes into what we were drawing off. This is an older document though. This actually deal with the Mudar and everything else in here. I sent this document out a long time ago, and I kind of touched on this right here too. It's one of the oldest ones when I first started dealing with the language. And that's one portion of it there. And this actually shows some of the oldest portions of Mudar. Now y'all see this Mudar script right here? That they say the original Quran was written in?
Islam.
Doesn't that not look like Demotic right there? The same script that we just showed. You don't see no dots on it, no, because they didn't have that on there. Like you don't have slashes, is what I mean, like the vowels and stuff. It just look just like this. This is an actual extract of Mudar, which is very hard to find. But this is what it looked like. This is the Himyaritic script, which is known today.
Well, the Arab was the one that put the dots so they can conform it to their language, right?
Islam. So now right here we have Himyar, which is really what they call Sabian. So this was a script that was also in that same region. And we know the Sabians are basically the seeds of Kush. So both of these come from a Cushitic line. So the European used the term Afro-Asiatic. You see what I'm saying? And again, this is Ibn Khaldun, who was a Moorish scholar. You know, he was born in Tunisia. He passed form in Cairo, Egypt, but this is the most renowned scholar dealing with the history because he was the one that preserved a lot of the history, the introduction to history. And he was the one talking about Mudar, which is this is coming from his book here called the Muqaddimah, very popular book. You know, and so he went into the history of, you know, Mudar and Himyar. You know, and he tell you, you know, this as follows. We find that with regard to clear indication of what one wants to express and the full expression of the meaning in Arabic as it is spoken today, follow the ways of the Mudar language. The only loss is that of the vowels indicating distinction between subject and object instead of one uses position with the sentence and syntactic combinations. You know, and he goes into a whole bunch on here, family. And Mustafa Gadala again quoted this same information here. But it says Arabs gained control of the province of Iraq, Syria, Egypt, and the Maghreb. At the time, the Arabic linguistic habit took on a form of different from the one it had originally. The Mudar language was thus transformed into another language. And now the Quran was revealed in the language of Mudar. See? So when I say that it was revealed in Mudar, some people don't get it if it's foreign to them. But this is a historian that is accepted by the whole Islamic world as being accurate. So you can't just dismiss this and say, oh, that's just somebody's opinion. This is an actual scholar, one of our scholars, a Moorish scholar from Tunisia. So it says in the prophetical traditions were transmitted in it and both the Quran. So the Quran was written in Mudar. Remember I told you Uthman burned up the original Quran. It says in the traditions are the basis of Islam, it was feared that as a result of the disappearance of the language in which they were revealed, they themselves might be forgotten and no longer be understood. Therefore, systematic treatment of its laws, presentation, and analogical formation used in it, and the derivation of its rules were needed. Knowledge of Arabic thus became science with subdivisions, chapters, and premises and problems. The scholars who cultivated that science called it grammar and Arabic philology. It became a discipline known by heart and fixed in writing, and a ladder leading up to the understanding of the book of God and the Sunnah of his prophet. Perhaps if we were to concern ourselves with the present day Arabic language, evolve its laws inductively, it says we would find other things and possibilities indicating what vowel endings which no longer exist used to indicate, things that exist in the present day language and that have their own peculiar rules. Perhaps certain rules apply to the endings of words of the present day Arabic language only in the manner different from that which existed originally in the language of Mudar. Languages and linguistic habits are not matters of chance. See what I'm saying? So it says the relationship of the Mudar language to the Himyarite language, the ones I showed you earlier, the two scripts, was of the same type. Many of the meanings and inflection of the words of Himyarite language were changed in Mudar usage. This fact attested by the transmitted material available to us is contrary to the opinions of those whose deficit knowledge leads them to assume that Mudar and Himyar languages are one and the same, and who want to interpret the Himyarite language according to the formations and rules of the Mudar language. For instance, certain of these persons assume that the Himyarite word Kail, leader, is derived from call. It says speaking, so on. Now we can already know that this is different because we know that there's no equivalent in none of the language rules. Well, Y is the same as a W, you know, but you have people that'll try to do that right there, and we know that that's off. Now, if you say W is a U or Y is interchangeable with I, then yeah, you know, but we know a Y would never be translated even interchangeable, you know, with this W, because there are no grammatical rules that would say that. So these are two different words, call and kel. Even though, like he said, you know, certain people of certain assumptions they would think that this word was the same as the Mudar word called. So anyway, it says this is not correct. It says the Himyarite language is another language and differs from the Mudar language in most of its conventional meanings, inflections, and vowels, and has the same relation to it that the Mudar has to present-day Arabic. It says the only difference is that the interest of the Mudar language, which we have stated, exists on account of the connection that language with religious law. To evolve and derive its rules, there's nothing nowadays to move us to do the same for present-day Arabic. A characteristic feature of the present-day Arab Bedouins, wherever they may live, is the pronunciation of Q. They do not pronounce it as the urban population pronounces it. And as it's indicated in works on Arabic philology, namely where the hindmost part of the tongue meets the soft palate above it, neither is it pronounced as K is pronounced, even though K is articulated in a place below that where Q is articulated in the vicinity of the soft palate. So a lot of them rules in the back of the Quran that you have, the Tajweed Quran, showing you where to pronounce these things from and so forth and so on, is important. It says it is pronounced somewhere between K and Q. This is the case with all Arab Bedouins. Wherever they are, or in the east, or to the east, pardon self, it has eventually become their distinguishing mark among the nation and the race. In other words, they can tell where somebody is by the way they pronounce a particular word. They can tell where they at by their dialect. It says it is a characteristic of theirs that no one else shares with them. And this goes far in that those who want to Arabize themselves and to affiliate themselves with the Arabs imitate the Arab pronunciation. So way back then, Ibn Khaldun wasn't with the nonsense neither. He wasn't with that Arabization type of demonstration. He know the difference between Bedouin Arabic and Quranic Arabic. The same thing I've been saying to these people claiming that they speak in Arabic. Ain't that something? This is a more, and I'm proud to say it's a more that's honored, that everybody got to listen because he the one preserved the history. A lot of the historical record come from this brother. And everybody go by him. You'll hear him. If you ever hear somebody quote, watch they quote Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun said, because he got so much history, well, in this book, the Muqaddimah, he go through the history of all the nations in the earth. I need to buy me a physical copy of it too. It's been years. I read it years ago. So he goes here. Arabs think that pure Arab can be distinguished from Arabicized and sedentary people by this pronunciation of Q. It is obvious that this is the pronunciation of Q found in the Mudar language. The largest leading group of Arab Bedouins who still live in the east and the west consists of descendants of Mansur, Ikrimah, Kasafa, Kays, Aylan, and but in here he'll tell you that the Mudar language is definitely of that of the the Egyptian language, basically, the Kemetic style. In fact, one of the most closest language that they are saying to Kemet is actually who they like to call Berbers. And we know that the term Berber is a misnomer, so they're really talking about the Moors. So the Moorish dialect is closer to the ancient Kemetic language, basically. It said also it should be known that the usual form of address used among the urban and sedentary population is not the old Mudar language, nor the language of the present-day Arab Bedouins. It is another independent language, remote from the language of Mudar and from the language of present-day Arab Bedouins. It is more remote from the former than from the latter. It's obvious that it is an independent language by itself. The fact is attested by the changes it shows with grammatical scholarship, considers solecisms. And it states, moreover, it is different in various cities depending on the differences in terminology used by the inhabitants. The language of the inhabitants from the east differs somewhat from the inhabitants of the west. The same applies to the relationship of the language of the Spaniards to either of them. That's right. All these people are able to express in their own language whatever they want to express and explain their ideas. That is what languages and dialects are for. The loss of a vowel ending does not disturb them, as we have stated in the connection with the language of present-day Arabic. So it goes on, and he talks about the present-day Berbers, and this is a whole book where this brother is going into this drawing. But the Mudar is said to be the old language of the Quran, and a lot of that information, was lost. But Mustafa Gadala tell you Mudar is synonymous with what we call Medunetta. But this is a whole book. If you want to know the history of the Arabic language, this ain't something we made up. Get the book, Mukaddima. It's going into all that right there. So yeah, I had all this right here. And I showed the different variations of alphabet charts that was created. I actually have see what they call, when I was showing y'all what y'all look like. This is the same thing. This is Sabian. What's called Sabian today, which was a language that was in Saudi Arabia. All these languages were found among the Arabs here. Talmudic, Safidic. Look at the style here. Even here, you can see some of the Sabian elements that's right here in the Talmudic. See right there? Like if you look at it, you can see a lot of this stuff. This same letter is over here, just, a different way of drawing it. And we can go on and on and on. Right here, letter for letter. Still the same thing. Even though this is Talmudic and they calling it Bedouin, this is called Sabian and Talmudic here. Same languages. You see, and this is the modern day Arab script, the Nakashi script, which we showed its similarity to Demotic and how it evolves out of that. So we can also see, even when you get into the Safiatic, you still can see similar drawings as they relate. So it's really a matter of adopting certain symbols that one comes into, Here, right here again, is where it's showing all the different Arabic scripts over here. And see the Nabatean script, the way it is written here. It look a lot different than modern day Arabic, don't it? Look like scribble scrabble to a certain degree. Classical Arabic, the Nakashi script come here. Then you have the Pomeranian script, Syriac script, which Syriac has a close resemblance to modern day Arabic the way it is, and this is that said to be the actual language that Yehoshua spoke, Syriac Aramaic, which is also Dr. York emphasized on that particular measure himself. But when you get into a lot of that other stuff, you'll find a similar styles in the alphabet as far as dealing with hieratic and all of that. Now, this is one, like I say, the first things. Hold up, let me go back here real quick. This is one of the first PDFs I created called the Mother Tongue. This thing here I want to say it's about 15 years old. This is when I had started laying the foundation of going. So again, you got the Himyar script and the Mudar script right here, family. And this is our brother Mustafa Gadala. When I first come across his information, and he telling you right here, language is Medunetta. Now you're gonna see Mustafa Gadala quoting, Ibn Khaldun. So it says, tracing the history of the Arabic language will lead us to ancient Egypt. Ibn Hazm, the medieval Arabic scholar of Cordoba, that's another Moorish scholar. I forgot to mention Brother Hazm. So that's two Moorish scholars, but it says, recognize that Aramaic, Syriac, Hebrew, and Arabic were kindred dialects derived from the Mudar, the dialect in which the Quran had been disclosed. Our brother Ibn Khaldun just told you, he's quoting here Ibn Hazm, another Moorish scholar. These are two Moorish scholars that agreed that the original Quran was revealed in Mudar. Now watch what Mustafa Gadala say. He said the original home of Arabic, The Arabic of the Quran came from the northwestern region of the Arabian Peninsula. These three kindred dialects, Aramaic, Syriac, Hebrew, and Arabic, originated from the Moab region in the Sinai Peninsula, which y'all seen in that sneak preview of the book we was talking about earlier. You know, that's where most modern alphabet is said to draw from, yet coming out from the hieratic and so forth and so on. Then your Proto-Canaanite, Phoenician, as we call it, originated from the Moab region. Diodorus Book 1, 28, 1 through 4 tells of an Egyptian colony at present-day Moab. So these were really Kemites in the land of Moab. That's why if we go right now to Sarabat el-Qadim, which is in the same region, what they call Sinai Peninsula and everything, you will see the tablets. I done showed it to you a couple of times where Mount Sinai region is still tablets over there in that area. That's outside of what we call modern day Kemet, on the other side of the Red Sea. Let me go here for the audience that may not know, because it's always good to use the hammer of repetition. Let's see. Actually, I was supposed to put this here, and I don't like to use that as my search engine, so I'm gonna go here and use this as my search engine. I like to use the Google search engine. That's Microsoft. They don't be like to show all the pictures. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I have to go here. Yeah, and hit this tab. Actually, I can go right here in the tab that I have here. Let's do it this way. Okay, so let's go here and all right. It's Sarabat al-Qadim. That's the present. I ain't even have to put it all in that. I'm searching so much. This is Sarabat al-Qadim in the Sinai Peninsula. Right here, see? Southwest portion. Going into the language. And if you come in here, this is what's there. This is not Kemet, people. This is in the same area where Moses was said to go get the so-called Ten Commandments from. And these tablets are all throughout this region. This is where Temple of Het Heru was established. Remember, said the Hebrews came down and they were worshiping the calf. Well, we know that Het Heru, her symbol was a calf. The symbol that they have. And we'll show that to you. And here it is right here. Here's her face. This is a symbol of Het Heru right here. That's the goddess face right there. We can't make this stuff up. Let me see if it give me an even clearer picture. Let's see. There it go. You can even see some of the inscription that look like some of the hymn y'all right there too. Let me see here. Because I tried to hit that. Didn't give me that. So this is what these are the earliest aspects of the Proto-Sinaitic, Proto-Canaanite. See the symbols they have right here. Right here. And that's why they say a lot of the alphabets, originated out of this particular area. Here, is a drawing too that was found, a queen tie. So this is really a queen's region. So when they say they came down worshiping, the cattle, it all makes sense. Like this is like really verification of Moses actually being in his area. So what type of tablet was it that he really broke with all these different inscriptions on it? I mean, it don't get no plainer than that right there. But we just have to revisit this stuff. Let me see if it let me go. There it is. That's a little better right there. That's the face of the goddess right there. Hathor. See, this is the temple that was established. So now it makes sense when it say the Israelites were worshiping the golden calf. They were down there worshiping the goddess. It was goddess worship that they was demonstrating. So watch this. And this is the Sinai Peninsula. You can see all the mountain plain and everything up in there. All the mountain plain up there in the Sinai Peninsula. So Moses was all up in there. Here go another. Look at this. What is all of this? You know how heavy that is? Still over there right now. Just sitting up there. It don't get no plainer than that right there. So we definitely know they were dealing with some Kemet. And we can see now when we say that Moses got the 48 laws, not the 48, that's the European, but the 42 laws of Ma'at, and he come up in here and got these tablets. Look at that. Terrible. All this right here, look at that. Look how far they run down there, family. Could some of these even be some of the broken tablets somewhere up in there? You know, it would be, I don't know how Moses broke tablets. You know, it had to be a thin piece. We see they come in various shapes and sizes up here. You know, unless he has something else. You see all the reflections on them here. But they also, and these are just pictorials here. But I showed y'all the actual alphabet of Proto-Sinite, Proto-Canaanite, and all that. A lot of people say that the Proto-Sinaitic and Proto-Canaanite alphabet started with Joshua. I mean, not Joshua, but Joseph, when he was in Kemet. You know, and then Moses came in, you know, behind that. So we can also see how it is that they would be able to come up with this particular demonstration, because we even showed that, you know, right there. You know, so, and that's why the Europeans got the idea to try to create their own thing, because that's considered a pseudo alphabet, even though it is the language of what they call ancient Hebrew. They call this a pseudo alphabet here. So if that's a pseudo alphabet originating in the Sinai Peninsula under the hand of, like they say, either Moses, either going back to your the brother Joseph, then the European is considered pseudo too. You know, because they're saying that they base some of this off the Egyptian language. And here's the actual other measure of it here. You can see how all of this deal with different expressions of it. It's so much, family. I mean, it's right here. It's right here. You don't get no plainer than this right here. You know, this is what they basically came up with. You know, it's Proto-Canaanite, Proto-Sinaitic. And they found it on the Sphinx, a little baby Sphinx that they've been showing up here on a few pictures that I went over right here. You know, this is where they found these different inscriptions at. And sometimes you got to be careful, because they can find an old artifact and it may date according to radiocarbon dating to a certain period. But just because that stone old don't mean that them inscriptions that somebody put on them is as old. But that's a good way to trick somebody too. Yeah, the stone may be that old, but the inscription that you wrote on the stone ain't that old. You can even pull one over on somebody like that. So, you know, that's something you have to keep in mind as well. You know, so these are the pieces of the artifacts here. And this is supposed to be the same thing, dealing with the same language. They're showing the same thing. This is the front portion of it, you know, and the same symbols that's being described. But you see they Kemetically influenced. You know, and this is what gave birth. So Kemet gave birth, you know, that Kemetic colony, they gave birth, family, to many. See Sinai, Sarabat, Al-Qadim, see the symbols? You know, but they gave birth to many different nations when it comes to dealing with the cultural significance, so to speak, of, you know, how these things connect as far as dealing with their language and different things that were took indirectly from them. You see, they even call this the Moses inscription here, you know. And this is actually supposed to be a portion that's spoken of. Our bound servitude had lingered. Moses then provoked astonishment. It is the year of astonishment because of the lady. That's what they say in this inscription saying. So now we are seeing this here, but then they got let me blow this up. They got the box modern Hebrew transcription of these. See how they done put these symbols onto each one of these letters? That's why you'll see these symbols connected to these letters in certain charts that they have with the Proto-Sinaitic, Proto-Canaanite. So here's an actual inscription proving that Moses existed outside of the biblical narrative. This Sinai inscription basically is supposed to be a limestone inscription. This is modern day box Hebrew. This is not called Yiddish or Masoretic text. This is the original demonstration and it makes sense because if Moses was learning the wisdom of Egyptians, he had to be learned in a certain language. But the way that they evolved this Hebrew measure that they have here into what they did, that's a whole nother measure. Look at here. Look, it said Israel was pagan as seen in the lady Balat, the cow goddess Hathor. Didn't I tell you that's who they were, which Israel worshiped while Moses was delayed? There you go. Right there. Didn't I tell you that golden calf worship? Now watch this. That's proof right there to show you that Moses actually existed outside of the biblical text anyway, even though some people try to act like he did. Let's see. Hathor, the Egyptian goddess. Now notice when she come up, she got the disc on her head. And look, this is an expression. See the calf with the horns? This is all connected to Hathor. Het-Heru. See, here's the other picture, just like they had. Remember the one I showed y'all earlier in the Sinai Peninsula? Here's a modern day depiction of it. Right here. Same thing that was over there in Kemet. So Hathor, Het-Heru, had evidently it was going on probably then. I don't want to think it was some relics over there. This was a temple that was probably up and running during the time when Moses was actually over there. You know, from the way that it's looking, for them to get involved with the veneration, you know, of what was going there. So, you know, these are different expressions of Hathor here. You see, it's always depicting her as the cow with the horns. You know, same thing in the disc. I mean, you can't get around. This is just too much, family, for somebody to deny. You know, look, there it is right there. Same thing I was showing you in the Sinai Peninsula. Same head of the goddess right there. And let me show our people this on the map so they make no mistake about this. Watch this. Let's see. I'm gonna just hit red C map. So what we talking about? Hold up. I'm gonna do this here. I want to do this here. Okay, here we go. I want to show you this here. So we understand exactly what we mean when we say Sinai Peninsula. By the very virtue of these things being over, we say Mecca is right up here in this area too. Mecca is right up in here. So now, this is Egypt way over here where they was. For all them relics to be over here, and we talking about the Egyptian colony, we can also see definitely a concept of crossing the Red Sea. Because them monuments that they had, either they had to be made over here by Kemetic people, or they had to be taken over here some type of way into the Sinai Peninsula. Same place where I was showing them pictures at earlier with the sister here. This is all this stuff. How did it get over there? We just seen that they find the inscription here talking about Moses. So I don't know about nobody else. Moses is put on the scene as being here by the inscription that we just found. You know, so what I'm going to do real quick, because all this is dealing with understanding where the language evolved from. Not only Arabic, but even the Hebrew. So this is the hotbed or the birthing place of the language, and it was done by a Kemetic colony, not just fleeing Israelites. It was a mixed multitude. Now let's show how we can prove this right here. Watch this. They can't get around it playing with us like this here. Watch this. Isaiah 19. You hear me talk about it all the time. Listen to what it says. And this is where the Most High smite Egypt, and he heals it. I'm going to go over this for the people that ain't never heard it before. Now, a lot of our Hebrew family try to hide this. It's important. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. The heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Now, Egypt ain't always been a place that was considered idolatrous, because Tehuti was the first messenger and was the messenger sent to the Egyptians. We know this to be the truth, according to the history of Islam. You know, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, which mean that they had to be united at one time. And they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Why would the Most High do this? It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fall in the midst thereof. So if it falls, then that means it had to be at the heights of its divinity at one time, right? So why is this wrath coming behind them? What is the purpose? It says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, which mean that they wasn't worshiping idols prior to this wrath that's getting ready to come to them. See, when they sought God, now they're going to seek to the idols. It says, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards. So originally, Egypt didn't deal with no charmers and familiar spirits and wizards, but this wrath and chastisement, the great God of lies, the Bible, they say, turn them over into a reprobated mind. They did something they didn't have no business, but we already know chastisement represent divine appointments. So it says, and the Egyptians I will give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. Wait a minute. So now we always talk about Israelites being enslaved, but he telling you he finna let them go up under a cruel Lord. So who is it that can go in and rule Egypt? You know, and control Egypt? A cruel Lord? I thought Egypt was supposed to be the cruel people that enslaved the Israelites. Who more crueler than the ancient Egyptians? Oh, it had to be somebody that infiltrated Egypt and took over. And this goes right back to the Bible when it says there came up a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. This was after Joseph had brought great prosperity. He was given the high name of the 7 adept degrees, Zephaniah Paneth, which means the same thing that's on our adept badge that we have, our adept jewel, you know, Zephaniah Paneth, Sefek Pankar, you know, really circle 7 is what it means in Hierophant. Yeah, Joseph was given that degree, for real, for real. You know, this ain't nothing made up. His name means basically the 7th adept degree of prophet. Ain't that something? But anyway, when we go into this special demonstration, family, a Pharaoh who rose up and he knew not Joseph. He knew not Joseph. So this one became an oppressor. The Hyksos. That's who the cruel Lord was. A fierce king shall rule over them, over the Egyptians now, said the Lord of hosts. And the water, you say, this is terrible. Why the Most High doing the Egyptians like this right here? Watch this. And the water shall fail from the sea. The river shall be wasted and dried up. Man, the Nile gonna have some problems because that's the only major river that's over there in that area. That's the lifeline of Kemet. It says, and they shall turn the rivers far away. It says, in the brooks the fence shall be emptied and dried up, and the reeds and the flags shall wither. It says the paper reeds by the brooks and by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. The fishes also shall mourn, and all they that cast an angle into the brook shall lame it, and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. Moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave network shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof. All that make sluices and ponds for fish, surely the princes of Zorn are fools. And we know Zorn is another name from Anu. They are fools. The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh has become brutish. We call them boorish. It says, how say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise and the son of ancient kings? Where are they? Where are thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts has proposed upon Egypt. What did they do? oh, the Most High cruel for doing the Egyptians. You know, this is how some people think on the earthly level, right? It says the princes of Zon have become fools, which mean at one time they wasn't fools. The princes of North, which is another place, you know, in Kemet, are deceived, and they have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. So he let these cruel people come in there, the rulers, and come in to give some chastisement. It says the Lord had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused. Where do you think the perverse spirit come from? The new ruler, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as drunken man staggered in his vomit. So a lot of the rap that people are blaming Kemet for now come from what the Hyksos was doing. All you got to do is read the story of Matheno. You see, Manetho, as they call him, same expression, and that's the original history of Egypt that was given before the Jews tried to ban that history and retell the story of Kemet their own way, because that story is actually telling as if it was the Israelites that was being exiled. You see? So they don't want you to know that. Instead of them going into an exile, they've been exiled. But it says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or branch rush may do. In that day, it says, shall Egypt be like unto a woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking hand of the Lord of hosts, which shaketh over. That's a, you know, whoever translated this right here, you know, they could have did better. Why they got to make it look like the woman beating situation right here? That's terrible. But they talking about, you know, anyway. It says, in the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt, everyone that maketh mention thereof. So how the land of Judah gonna be a terror to Egypt if Egypt is enslaving Egypt? I mean, Egypt is enslaving the Israelites. How are they gonna be putting Egypt in fear? That don't make no sense if they the ones that's oppressing Egypt. You know, unless they talking about the terror of them rising up, because Pharaoh did say, let us come down there and deal wisely with them before they multiply, unless they talking about that type of terror. You know, but it says, everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he has determined against it. Now, this is the main key. Listen, we can attach this historically to that information I said and showed about them tablets up there. It says, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan. So this is showing you that the Canaanite language was being demonstrated by the ancient Egyptians, just like when you get to dealing with the Greeks, they was mingling with the native Egyptians and come up with their so-called Greek language and all that. It's telling you right here, 5 cities in the language in the land of Egypt gonna be speaking the Canaanite tongue. Swear to the Lord of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. In that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt. That's the pyramid. That's the altar. And the pillar at the border, them the obelisks. You see? It says, and it shall be for a sign and a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors. So you don't hear nobody talking about the Egyptians being oppressed. They always talking about the Israelites being oppressed. But right now, we see. So how can Egypt be the oppressor, the tyrant, and all that, and also being enslaved at the same time? That contradicts the biblical narrative right there. Isaiah 19, at least. How they gonna be the oppressor when they being enslaved? Oh, it's gonna make sense in a minute. And he shall send them a savior, a great one, and he shall deliver them. Now, scholars say this is Alexander the Greek. That's why I have in my particular book, I got a chapter on this, great usurper or savior. I was showing that to y'all before we came live. Y'all know what we talking about. You know, I didn't go into the explanation of it, but this is what I'm referring to. No, Alexander the Greek wasn't no savior. You know, the real savior is the adept that went over there and became initiated in this new era in time. That's the real savior of Egypt. But it says, and the Lord shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know the Lord in that day, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yeah, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord and perform. So now we talking about the Egyptian. You mean to tell me that they gonna pray to the Most High? He gonna honor that? Well, I thought the Egyptian was damned to hell. I thought they was cursed, according to what I was told. So it said, let's go. And the Lord shall smite Egypt. He shall smite and heal it. So everybody talk about how Egypt fell and Egypt was smitten, but nobody talk about how Egypt would be smited and healed. In other words, the great God Allah didn't prolong the chastisement. It was a time that they were going to get it. He just wanted to spank you, let you know. And that's what it is. It says, they shall return even to the Lord, the Egyptians now, and he shall be entreated of them and shall heal them. It says, in that day there shall be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrian shall come into Egypt, the Egyptian into Assyria. The Egyptian shall serve with the Assyrian. That explains why we see certain monuments that, Assyrian type with Kemetic influences, where it says, in that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt. It didn't say Israel was the first, their favorite. It said they was the third with Egypt, and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom the Lord of hosts shall bless, saying, blessed be Egypt, my people. So now if he calling them his people, Yahweh, calling Egypt his people, and then you got Israelites saying that Egypt is the enemy. Egypt is, so you going against the Most High right here. And this is after the so-called aspect of the Exodus, because they had many different groups where they went out at different time periods too. But it says they just can't place their date in the right spot. But it says, Egypt, blessed be Egypt, my people, Assyria, the work of my hand, and Israel, my inheritance. The Most High smited Kemet, I would smite them, and also basically let up and accept them. We see the language of Canaan being spoke in that area. I done showed y'all all the artifacts. I done showed you everything that come out of Kemet that's over there in the Sinai Peninsula. Mustafa Gadala done already mentioned we talking about the Egyptian colony. So I want to see what my scribes had to say about that real quick, because this is still dealing with going into the aspect of these languages. Islam. You there, scribes?
Islam. The thing that I like about this demonstration is that this measure, that this is not what's being publicly stated in none of the churches around the nation. See, they like you said, that they go into and they say that Egypt, like you said, Egypt was a smiting one, but this speaks to the fact of what and it seems that the usurpation of Egypt usurpated the text about Egypt to fit them, so that they could ultimately get where they are today.
Exactly. And that's who did it. It was the Jews that did it. Go ahead, brother.
Islam. And so now that this also brings in that story of Jacob and Esau. You know what I'm saying? So this is, keep it real. And I done did the did the little Bible study, and I don't recall running across this. I don't call running across this at all. So this is crazy that that and that's because most of the time you only study in the New Testament. That's the only one they really is pushing. They're not pushing the Old Testament, they're pushing the New Testament. But it just shows that we got to be studious to understand, because it's not speaking, what is evident is not speaking to the biblical aspect. You know what I'm saying? What we're seeing today is what they want you to believe, as opposed to what has taken place, what is taking place, you know what I'm saying, and what will take place. Because Egypt was never said that they were going to heal from that. But then also, you got to look at, this also speaks to us as a people. So because we're facing the same thing, and we were brought somewhat a healer. So that's what I grasp from this. That's a deep measure. It's not.
And on another level too, brother, with that, it's more in the Bible that say the same thing. And I'm gonna show you one right here. When the Most High was speaking on coming to deliver a people. I'm trying to pull it up in the King James version because that's their little drawing. Now watch this right here. I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, hold up. Okay, here we go. This is another measure. It say a lot of this stuff in Isaiah. But yeah, a lot of people don't teach this is because that's the way that's done purposely. The way that they teach that stuff. And they don't teach on these topics because it'll contradict what they stand on. Look at what it say right here. And there shall come forth a rod of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, spirit of counsel and might, and spirit of knowledge. And he shall make them quick of understanding and fear the Lord, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. It goes into all that right there, but I want to get to this part. And in that day there should be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Now remember, the Gentiles supposed to be demonic, and you're a Gentile, you ain't an Israelite, right? So this particular root of Jesse that's coming, so the Gentiles will seek them. Listen, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand in again a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush, from Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and the islands of the sea. We can go on and on and on and on. But wait a minute, I thought nobody was supposed to be saved but the Israelites. But he telling you straight out of Kemet, he already say Egypt, my people, Cush and all that right there. I thought Ham and Cush was supposed to be demonized. So why are they teaching this doctrine? A lot of our Israelite family have adopted this doctrine from the racist Jew. And don't even know they're teaching that type of doctrine to us under that interpretation. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, no, I was just saying the Ashkenazi.
Yeah, that's where they got it from.
This is not, like I said, you will not hear no pastor, no preacher, no one talk about this aspect of the healing or even the redemption of these nations like you got in 11. They don't even speak about this because they're trying to push the narrative that's which also speaks to the testament of the people that's coming to get saved. That means that if I'm looking at this correctly, that is talking. Think about all the ones even over here that been smited, from the Moors to the Cherokees to all those nations that was smited. That and I'm bringing it into the relative sense because history repeats itself. So when I'm looking at this, is saying the old, but it's bringing in the new at the same time. And wow, that's crazy. It's not.
Here it is right here. Here's another measure too. It says, princes shall come out of Egypt. This is the book of Psalm. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. This was one of Marcus Garvey's favorite quotes. But this is actually, it's measures that go in there and tell you that the Cushites are the people of Sabah, of the Sabian level, where I say our old ancestors that's mentioned in the Quran. It goes into this information. Sing unto God, ye kingdom of the earth, sing the praises of the Lord, say loud to him that rideth upon the heavens, which were of old. He doeth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice. So wait a minute. I thought Ham, Ethiopia wasn't getting no redemption. What is this book talking about that Ethiopia gonna stretch out their hands unto God and princes gonna come out of Egypt? Since Egypt's supposed to be so damnable or evil. Make it make sense now. Israelite family, because the book is saying something totally than what everybody else saying. Different. And we got it in here too, where it said that the Cushites and the people of Sabah would be taken out butt naked and barefooted in bondage, captivity. That's the real prophecy in regards to dealing with us that actually happened. So I just wanted to add that in there. All this stuff is interconnected, but the main thing is that the Egyptians, as it stated up here, it said that they would be speaking the language of Canaan. See, all of this stuff, and then it's telling you, right there, that's the connection. That's the connection. So when we go into the document, as I was showing you, now it makes sense. When Mustafa Gadala say what he said. He says, therefore, a logical step to consider the role of the ancient Egyptian language as it relates to the later formulated Arabic language. To decipher the ancient Egyptian language and its grammar and syntax, modern-day Egyptologists studied the Arabic language. See? And they assumed that Arabic, being an offshoot of the ancient Egyptian language, would share much of the same grammar, syntax, and vocabulary. It was generally the right assumption, and thus Egyptologists were able to address the subject of ancient Egyptian grammar and syntax. The ancient Egyptian-controlled Moabi region is regarded as the home of the Mudar language, the forerunner of Arabic. The name Mudar is an abbreviated form of the ancient Egyptian term Medunet, meaning the words and language of the angels and gods. And it is no accident that Muslims say that Arabic is the language of the angels. You see what I'm saying? If you ever heard a Muslim, they say Arabic is the language of the angels. You see, language of God type of demonstration. So Medunetta is the original connection to Mudar, which gave birth to present-day, modern-day Arabic. So Arabic in its history owes homage to ancient Egypt. In imitation of the ancient Egyptian Medunetta, the people of this ancient Egyptian colony, Moabi, spoke and wrote Egyptian language. Scripts found in the Moabi region look exactly like the ancient Egyptian Demotic style of writing. Remember I was showing y'all the comparison between the Demotic? I just showed it to our family earlier. For those who may be just getting in, we're going to go right there again because we still got the window open. When we were showing them the Demotic styles of the writing. So though this brother, Mustafa Gadala came to the same conclusion that I came to, I had did my own research and already came to the conclusion before I read his work. So what we find is that what we call confirmation, so to speak. And the Demotic came after the hieratic. You see? And it even said here, let's see, Demotic is further development of the hieratic script, whereas hieratic characters generally look quite similar to hieroglyph. They talking about cursive hieroglyph there. Counterparts, Demotic characters have evolved to the point where the similarity to hieroglyphs are barely recognizable. Because they're not the same, of course. So and I showed our family this, but you look at this style here. Definitely, you can see the Arabs definitely adopted a style, as we said earlier, from this type of writing. We seen it in the original Mudar expression. And I have another document I'm going to pull up in a second here to go deeper into the drawing. But I want to hear what my other scribes have to say before I do that. Islam, scribes.
Islam.
Grand National Secretary of the State.
Gratitude, rising, giving praises to Allah, honor to our prophet, honor to our ears class, honor to our family online, honor to our scribes, and also honor to Act One and to you, Dr. Shahid, for bringing forth this special class. I tell you, every time, and praise Allah for that hammer of repetition, because every time I hear this, it just goes deeper and deeper as far as the extent to which other nations or those that would purport to be in power, the lengths that they would go to keep our people buried in that shallow grave. And in this new era of time, again, we we can't give enough honor to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because and being able to go back to the history, not only dealing with the map, the location, seeing the various tablets, and I can recall coming up in Christianity, dealing with Moses going up to the mountains, bringing down the tablets and things of that nature. Not even, at that portion of time in my under Christianity, not even equating that with us as a people, because at that time Moses was considered European. This is where we were getting this information from, Rome. Okay, and so when you look at they were worshiping the golden calf. Now we sit over here and see Hathor, Het Haru, and all of the remnants and the tablets still being there, because they figure our people are not going to do the research. And when it has become so scattered, and you see that these different groups, whether it be Jewish or Greco-Roman or what have you, promote their own narrative to make it look like they are the end all be all. And because our people are going according to what Rome has said, or what those that purport to be in power has said, we know power has a beginning and an end, then they go along with the narrative. So much so they'll fight to the teeth when the truth comes on the scene, but because they have invested so much in dealing with reputation or whatever particular Masonic groups they want to be into, continue to keep our people blinded. And so now they are part of the problem. Well, see, we're here with the solution when the covers are being pulled off and you actually see how much is coming from our special people. See, it's a whole different mindset when you're looking at it from the aspect of your people, according to the Bible, were damned to hell. You ain't got nothing coming, so you might as well just be satisfied with your lot. We can see this narrative in other Asiatic cultures across the globe. So this is a powerful demonstration in reference to the pride as far as in our ancestors are concerned. And once you get that special history on your dial plate, then nobody outside of the self can tell you differently how to reject your own ancestors and forefathers. So this is a grand demonstration, Dr. Shahi. Really appreciate you honing in on this to show the connection. If you have the connection in the languages, then clearly the connection in the people traveling back and forth. They didn't stay in one place. And so when we speak about owners of the entire earthland, then this makes sense. So gratitude more for this special blessing. Peace and love.
Islam and gratitude for the measure, goddess and queen. Indeed. And this is the grandest one to back up exactly what you're saying. Again, this was the other document that I had here, and it's always good just because a lot of this stuff gonna be put out in my books that I'm working on. I'll be using a lot of this, and this was the one here where I was dealing with the origin of the languages, and I showed the style of writing that was demonstrated here, which we find this is actually what you call Iberic Egyptian script is what this is, which is what we actually have a connection to our particular alphabet that we putting together for the Moors. They say that this was on the emerald tablets of Jehudi, which ain't strange if he was in that region of the Iberian Peninsula. See, the emerald tablets look like this, and this is the other version of it, but this is Iberic Egyptian, which looks a lot and is connected to a certain degree to Phoenician. So when we come through here, what I was showing, because they, like they talk about the so-called ancient Berbers. And if you look at the picture of these ancient Cushites, which they say, according to my DNA, I'm supposed to come from a lineage of a goddess that come through here. The Cushites are the people of Sudan. But we can see the phenotype. That kind of look like my old boy right there, too, to a certain degree right there, this guy. I won't tell you, he kind of favor my old boy. But so yeah, when we come up here in this area here, you can see it. You can even see the feathers in the headdress. that the prophet demonstrated. They was demonstrating it way back then. This is Cushite. No, here's a Himyaritic script, which is what we call Sabian today. This is coming out of the Arabian area, Peninsula, Sinai Peninsula, all that. Check a look at it. I showed y'all earlier. This is the Himyar script. Same thing. I'm going to go back over here to the mother tongue document that I have. Right here. See, this is the Himyar script of the Arabs, as they call them. And this is it called Sabian. You see? And now this is another up close portion of that. Before the other Arabic that you have now, they was also demonstrating this. This was another one of the scripts that they had. So now let us go back. And I was showing y'all the Talmudic script and the Safavidic script. Same thing. This is the Sabians. But these were the Cushite inhabitants before the modern day pale steppe Arab got there. I even went into putting certain styles of pyramid building on how they first started building them. And I tell our people all the time, a lot of people don't know some of these were originally mountains. And all they did, was started stacking up certain things that they had already carved from the surface. Why we know this? Because if you go under the bottom of some of these structures, they're attached to the earth, and you see, if you ever seen what a cave looked like where it have pegs, that's what's up under these structures. That's why a lot of them ain't moved. But the step pyramid is the original building process. But anyway, I showed here, which I showed y'all one of these scripts they call Ankorial, and I made a complete comparison between this and the Arabic. Look at what they call Kufic without the vowels right here. This is Kufic script, and look at the Demotic that we showed y'all earlier. I already got it. They call it Ankorial. Come on, man. Ain't no way in the world. Only thing different is the dots and everything like we talked about before that they added on. And Ibn Khaldun touch on that. And the same thing was the same with the hieratic script. Because the hieratic script is here on this Ostrakhan stone. But up under here's the Meroitic script, which is said to have an origin in the hieratic and the Demotic. So it derived between this script and this script, which gave birth to the Meroitic script. You can see a combination of all of them here. And so then on the other half, last but not least, you got the Hecopter, which they've been falsely calling Greek. So we put all that in here dealing with the origin of the languages. I went into other pyramid styles of the building of the Nubians and the Cushites. And they say Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one on earth. So this is a picture supposed to be Nimrod. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. In the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, Calneh, in the land of Shinar, in Genesis chapter 8:8-10. They'll tell you that Abraham come from Sumer, basically, Ur of Chaldees. So Abraham himself was a Cushite. Hebrew Israelites don't want to talk about that, though. The black-headed one. This said to be a design that actually deal with ancient Sumerians. Then I go right here and say King James Version, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, a Cushite now, same area where Nimrod was, the mighty hunter, Cushite, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, slime, and they had for mud. I just showed you the style of the temples that was being built. And they said, go and let us build a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, And let us make a name, lest we should be scattered abroad in the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. This they begin to do, and nothing, it says, now nothing will be restrained from them, which they ever imagined to do. Now, if God in control, then he in control of what they can do and what they can't do. So you got to take that with a grain of salt with the way that they translate it. Now let us go down there and confound their language, confuse them so they don't understand another speech. And so the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the earth, and they left off to build a city. Therefore, its name, the name of it was called Babel, because the Lord did confine the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad the face of the earth. Now, we know, even though the way that they saying this here, a lot of people don't believe it or whatever, but we have known from our research, described, that these languages are definitely interconnected. And there's one particular language that all of the nations use as a lingua franca, which everybody had it. And it's the alphabet that we modernly call Phoenician, but everybody had their way with that alphabet and put their own title on it. Greeks put their title on it. The people of Carthage was using it, and they call it Punic, but it was still the same language, and all of this go back to the people that was in the land, so we can see the connection. So if you look at the style of building, it's supposed to be a depiction of the Tower of Babel. Notice it has a step pyramid style, in the building process. Look at the end result. This is another ziggurat that was built. Here's another style, that was being established here. These places actually exist. Look in Mexico. See all this step pyramid style? Pyramid of the sun. That trait passed all the way around the world. They had to transfer that trade some type of way if everybody was building on it. That means everybody was in tune with these step pyramid styles of building. Nothing in Mexico. And notice they had that same little middle point that run all the way up to the top here. Everybody was building the same way around the world. They didn't have social media back then. So either they were traveling back and forth, maybe they had some divine knowledge where they was tuning into each other's thought around the planet. But everybody was building similar to each other. They had a prototype of that demonstration. Even though they might change, they still had that same thing, and then running up the middle all around the world now. We see the different designs and the structures of the world, so the people have been sharing knowledge with each other from the time of antiquity. When you let these Egyptolomites get involved, Lord have mercy, every time this right here, this is hilarious. Oh my goodness, what are you doing? What are those, as the young people say? I don't even know what they were trying to depict here. God almighty, no. Somebody please stop the madness. So we had this guy right here, and this is who coined the phrase Afro-Asiatic languages. That's why I don't really like to get into that type of stuff. We got to know where this stuff coming from so we can label it what we like. This is a chart that come off and showing you where these languages supposed to come from. And they got Proto-Berber. Anytime you see that Berber, you're talking about the Moors. So it talks about concerning the origin of alphabetical writing. When we go into it's found necessary to admit that the various styles of writing, alphabetic writing used by the nations of antiquity were all derived directly or remotely from a common source. Remember, everybody spoke one language at one time, huh? From a single form of writing originated by some older people in the course of their own development. We just told you who they were. They all belong to the same family, just as genetically related dialects and forms of speech constitute one family group, right? It says, and furnish demonstration that they all proceeded from a single primeval language. According to the Phoenicians, the art was invented by Thothus. Thought. They say Tehuti invented the writing, basically. That's who they talking about, whom the Egyptians called Thuth. Or the Egyptians said it was invented by Thuth or Thought, or otherwise called Vers Hermes. Wait a minute, the Egyptians say that Tehuti was the inventor of writing. The Phoenicians say that Tehuti is the inventor of writing in their records. So, they agree upon this. So everybody can't be lying. That's all I'm going to say. And the oldest, this is another person, the Kushite alphabet known to us, it says that which the Phoenicians carried to southern and western Europe, which, however, was not preserved without modification. That's right. The names of its letters and some of their forms show that it was derived originally from hieroglyphics. And what they really talking about is the hieratic. Aleph means ox, bet means bed, house, temple. And what they're trying to do is compare what we call Paleo-Hebrew, Phoenician. They're actually comparing that to the Proto-Canaanite, Proto-Sinaitic language. That's what this person was doing. And that's why they're saying hieroglyphics. Not the actual hieroglyphics in Kemet, but the Proto-Sinaitic, Proto-Canaanite, which they would call, scholars call pseudo-hieroglyphs. For what reason? But it says in Gamil, an animal very natural, representing the ancient Arabian hieroglyphics. So some people think when you hear hieroglyphics, you talking about what's on the wall in Kemet. What do you mean Arabian hieroglyphics? Old people didn't know that existed, did they? Yeah, they got Japanese and Chinese hieroglyphics as well. Any symbols that are used to express a measure that can't really be expressed, even alphabetically, are called hieroglyphics, by the way. Something that's supposed to be undecipherable, as our brother Walter Williams put it. So it says, but not likely to appear in a hieroglyphical system originating in any country where Camille is not found. And it goes into the invention of this alphabet, from which all the alphabets of modern Europe have been derived, was attributed to the Phoenicians, which I've been telling our people. It goes into the history here, and it's talking about the great glory of inventing letters. It says this appears to have been commonly said among the Greeks and Romans. They could have said more correctly that the letters originated in the country of which ancient Phoenicia was one of the most important districts. Now, when we say that, we're talking about modern day expression of alphabet. These are some of the oldest sources, but we have sources that say the Phoenician derived from the hieratic as well. So when Pliny described the Phoenicians as the first discoverers of the science of astronomy, navigation, he would have been more accurate if instead of the Phoenicians, he had said the ancient Ethiopians or Cushites of Arabia. See? The original country of the Cushite race to which the Phoenicians belong, the original home where this culture had birth, from whence the Cushite colonies' influence went forth into every direction to spread civilization and create such nations as Egypt, Chaldea, but not merely the little district in Phoenicia, it was the whole Arabian Peninsula. So now we understand when we talk about them Sabians, them Cushites, it's right here. Here's another portion. The period of colonizing enterprise, and we said it was a Moabic colony that went into the Sinai Peninsula, a.e. Cushite Peninsula as well. It says the period of colonizing enterprise, commercial greatness, and extensive empire. Early in this period, Cushite colonies were established in the valleys of the Nile and of the Euphrates, which is subsequent ages become Barbara, or Egypt, or Chaldea. Its beginning could not have been later than 7,000 or 8,000 years before Christ, and it may have been much earlier. The Cushites occupied India. Remember I talk about the Indus-Kushite Valley civilization. Western Asia to the Mediterranean, extensive regions in Africa. In this period, they brought to full development that knowledge of astronomy and other sciences, fragments of which have come down to us through the nations they created by which they were succeeded. Here's another drawing. Arabia was the ancient Ethiopia. In the early traditions, in the literary records of the Greeks, Arabia is described as Ethiopia. So Arabia was being described at one time as Cush. And this name was applied to other regions occupied or controlled by the Arabian Cushites. In modern times, it has commonly been assumed without proper inquiry that the Ethiopians were, of course, Africans. This grave mistake has been the source of much misunderstanding and confusion, and we already know what's going on there because the term Africa didn't even exist at a certain time period. But it says Arabia was the original Ethiopia, land of Cush. The countries on the upper Nile were called Ethiopia, and they just saying Cush is what they're really saying, because they were at first colonies or dependent provinces of ancient Arabia. At a later period, and what they're saying when they're saying that these are colonies of Arabia, what they are saying is that from the Canaan land, because that's Canaan that the prophet talked about, there was a migration out of there into the Nile Valley civilization. Not directly into it, because they actually went all the way into the west of Africa, and that's where the city of Atlantis was set up at. And then when Atlantis fell, Tahuti went into Kemet and then began to teach the people in the Nile Valley. So there was a migration out of, the Canaanite land, as the prophet tell us, you know what I mean? And then that migration of those people coming out there was the same people that set up civilization on the Nile Valley civilization, also in Indus Valley civilization, also on the far west of the African continent in northeast and southwest Africa, modern Morocco, Mauritania, all coming from the same root. It makes sense. It says at a later period, when the ancient and long continued sway of the Ethiopians of Arabia declined and gave way to the rise of the great monarchies in Western Asia, India, Kushite regions of Asia, received new masters and took on new names. So now you understand why people are being referred to as they are referred to today. They took on new masters and new names. That's why they ain't called Kushites no more. That's why they call Arabs and all that other stuff now. Arabia itself was reconstructed by new forms of political organization. And finally, the later Greeks and the Romans introduced the custom of confining the name Ethiopia to a certain African countries on the Nile above the Egypt. And that's why the prophets say Ethiopia means subdivided. Prime example. So this is what the original Kushite Arabians look like. And I showed our people this before. This is locks on their head. You know good and well that ain't no Arab. You know good and well who that is. And here's a comedic expression here, but this is actually a Sabian depiction. The same style over here. Now, and this is the Himyar script. Notice they got the horns here with the dis in it. Honor to Hathor, Heru, right there. That's a symbol that's very universal. And look at the young goddess after years of amalgamation. You see what she looked like. You see she's standing there. It's that same symbol. The horns with the sun in it. That's your Himyar tablet that is here. So like, come on, man. We can't play. Now let's go down here. Regarding the language of Sabah, Alessandro de Miagri, an archaeologist who has worked in Sabah, which is Kush, has said the language used in Sabah, South Arabia, a Semitic language linked to Arabic and Ethiopian. Although this language was mostly replaced by Arabic with the advent of Islam. They talk about the Himyaritic, which later became known as Sabian, as well. And then you got the Mudar. Every language that was in Arabia come from the Kushites. We showing it to you right now. So who the real ones is? Now, don't let me get up into showing you these Sabians here, where these prayer postures come from. I don't know nobody else about nobody else. We see this one prostrating, and we say Muhammad himself was moving with the Sabi'un Hunafa. They used to pray 7 times a day. But look at how these Sabians praying now. Look at the praying they praying. They prostrating. This is the same way the Muslims pray, ain't it? So now it makes sense if Muhammad was moving with the Sabians and they was praying like this. And our good brother Cheikh Anta Diop, in African Civilization and Barbarism, he talk about how the Arabs took their concept of prayer from the Sabians. I'm showing it to you. He told you in the book. I'm showing it to you right here, what he was talking about. Do them look like modern day Arabs to you? No, sir. Look how dark. You can see the melanin in this one right here. Come on, man. Now let's get back to the language. They're showing you all these scripts. See, it said oldest Ethiopia. This is a Sabian. That same thing was on the tablet by the sister. They call it Ethiopia here. But they called it Talmudic. Also in the other document. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a script right here we're looking at right now. It's right here. Himyar. They call it Himyar. Where is it? I want to make sure you can see this script here. Okay, they died now. This same chart I showed y'all earlier. See what they call it in here? Sabian, right? Right here. See? We got many variations of the letter, but we can see it in the Talmudic. Same script. See the letter here? You know, we can go on and on. But let's go over here. See it's saying oldest Ethiopic? This is what they call Ge'ez as well. So this Ge'ez, Himyar, Sabian is all basically the same language, just with a couple of variations and changes. Look at this. And then you come into the Nakashi Arabic and all these other languages, and you see it all there. So, like, come on, man. Who gonna fool me and fool us when we know better? Look at that. You can't make this stuff up. Sabian, look at what they call it. Didn't I tell you? Himyaritic. Sabian. See what I'm talking about? What they call Ge'ez are like your Ethiopian Bible. There it go right there. Same languages here with slight variations. The Sabians are the Ethiopians, as they call it. We don't use the term Ethiopians, but we talking about who they referring to in the book. You see, here's another drawing showing the evolution of the language: Phoenician, Ge'ez, South Arabian. See, they calling it South Arabian. This is the Himyar script, same one I showed you when the sister was standing by. Same one I showed you on the tablets, looking like the language of the teachings of the tablets of Tehudi. This is South Arabia. When we think of Arabic, we only think of the Nakashi script that's down here at the bottom. We don't even think about these South Arabian scripts here. You know, see how close that is to, you know, the nomadic scripts and everything. Same thing. Somali. Watch this. We already showed you that. You know, I went into this showing, you know, where our signs and symbols at, what we deal with our methodology. I'm going to end up putting a lot of that in the book. This is what I want to get to, though. Right here. They go to Demotic right there on this side again. But this is the most important one here, this Demotic. Because this represents another branch of Arabic when you deal with what we call Petra and Nabatean, the style of Nabatean script. This is the one we very first went over when we was picking out letters that were basically, it was adopted into the Arabic, and we can see a bunch of different letters up here that was used. This is Demotic here. Now compare this Demotic here to this Arabic up under it, and you can find these symbols in the Polymerian script. You know, all of these are Nabatean style scripts. So look at all your Nabatean style scripts here. And then you come into your Kufic, your modern day Kufic. Well, this is more ancient than the modern day. Then you got the Nakashi script, which is what Arabic looked like today. Kufic over here in this version, but they had a Kufic in this form. Nakashi, which is the main thing me and you. Now look at this style of writing here. All these different letters, pay attention to them now. Every last one of them. But then when you come up here, you can see in this Demotic writing the exact type of style. We can go from here and pull a 1-for-1 on a lot of these symbols. If we just look around up here, you can find some of these same symbols right here amongst, this style of writing. And these are your precursors to your modern day Arabic as they evolve. So there's a connection, whether you look at it in the modern day Arabic script is written in the cursive style, and this particular style that looks like a box type of writing. See, even dots under certain things here as well, and on top of them up here too. This is in the Demotic though. So as we go down there, it's undeniable. And in fact, the guy Wallace Budge, which we always give the honor to the fact that he was honest. At least he was honest. He told you right here, I relied for correctness of their transcription in the hieroglyphs, meaning he transcribed the alphabet into symbols, chiefly upon the work of that erratic genius guesswork. E. Revelat and Professor F. L. Griffith. It says, these scholars have shown that the demontologists, meaning the people that deal with Demotic, are able to transcribe Demotic text into hieroglyphs. It says, in Birch's view, that they were unable to do this is no longer tenable. So, these Demotic words that most of the book of Wallace Budge demonstrate, he just put pictures on the side of the Demotic words. And this is why people keep thinking that these Demotic words, the transliteration point, like they'd be like, commission, if the word was transliterated, how you think it coming? Because they were dealing with Demotic. They just put it in a pictorial form. It wasn't pictorial form originally. It's Demotic text and hieratic text. You see, that's a measure we have to come to go over. But I'm showing all this stuff here. I went into all of that because I was dealing with the origin of the languages. So I go that far. But I'm mainly sticking to dealing with the Arabia. Now, I'm not trying to get into all this here yet. We'll cover it, when we go back into dealing with the languages again, But the main thing is, family, as I just showed you, where the language truly come from, and how all this information evolved. So let me stop sharing my screen right here, and we're going to see what our family has to give on that drawing as well before we go into our other phase and get ready to close this demonstration out. Islam Scribe, what you think about that?
Islam.
Grand man.
Islam. I think that I think that when it comes down to this, to see that, but it was no secret that all the language came from one. I didn't know that through the information you just showed that it came through, or everybody agreed that it came through thought. That's what shocked me. I knew it came from our people, but where? So now we have a starting point that we can actually trace to make it easier. Well, I'm not even gonna say the language is easier, because some of those dialects that you showed, I was counting the lettering, and some of them had 29 up to 32 different dialects, or not dialects, but 32 different characters in their the alphabetical system. And so that was kind of that stood out to me. That there was some of those languages had 29 as opposed to the 28, or like the United States has the 26, 26 alphabetical, and that's including the vowels. That's including the vowels with the United States. So it just shows that when we do an investigation, that everything has to be you have to go back as far as you can. You're only still dealing with subpar truths or partial truths. And Islam, to that this measure that you gave on the language, and going from the gaze, because I always wonder where the gaze fit into the writing system, because I didn't even know they had Somalian. I didn't know a lot of this stuff that you just unfolded today, and Islam, gratitude to you for that.
Yeah, Islam. And and that's what it boiled down to. The root is 22 when it comes to the alphabet, and everybody built their own I mean, the main one, like the original Phoenician, has 22 letters, and everybody developed their own creation of an alphabet on the side of what they already had. And they added maybe 4, sometimes 6. Some people added 7, and that's why you had a different variation in different languages. So yeah, that's how it go. And Ge'ez is basically, a branch of the Himyaritic, language, which was also used in Arabia. We also have a connection to the Harappian language and the connection to the Kushite language. Harappian is the oldest form before Sanskrit. That Harappian, though, looked just like Sumerian language. And it makes sense because a lot of the teachings they talk about among the Sumerian tablets are shared mostly with the teachings of India, like Hinduism and stuff. When you get to talking about Mount Meru and certain histories, they have these things recorded. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, pardon me.
Oh, you all right?
What's crazy is I was talking to the supervisor at the job, and I let him see. Just to give you some history, he likes to combat everything I say just with sheer skepticism. You know what I'm saying, and not actually investigating. And I let him see the big book. But the other day before this break, I was telling him that all languages came from, the what was the one we were studying? The we were well, I say all languages came from the closest one is the Arabic script, but I was giving him the line genealogy of the language, and he says except for the Chinese, and then you just told me you just said that the Sanskrit is I didn't hear the name, but the Sanskrit is linked to another. What language was that?
Yeah, the Harappian script of the Indus Valley Civilization, which actually connects to the Sumerian, and all that connects. In fact, I was actually pulling it up. While you see it, and once you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna show it to you real quick here. That's what I was doing.
The Sanskrit is blocked like the Hebrew script.
Yeah, but the original is the Harappian, and it's older, and it's basically the same thing you see in ancient Sumeria. It connects to what we call the Punic and all of that. You see, this is I'm trying to pull up. It's a couple of them in here. You see how these different inscriptions up here on it?
Yes.
A lot of this is close to the Sumerian style of things. Cuneiform type.
Now the Abyssinian. The one with the arrows. It got the little block arrows.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
How, like, is that the oldest or one of the oldest?
No, it's just another variation of what was already there. Different variations, like, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see how close this Harappian stuff looked to, and this is Indus Valley Civilization. You see how close it looked to Sumerian and even Egyptian elements you can put in there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about the Harappian, though. This is the Indus Kushite Valley, and they come from Middle Kush. In other words, they come from the Nile Valley Civilization and they migrated into India. Go ahead, brother.
You can see where the Norse, and I bring that in because they say that they created their own language, but you can even see the Norse language out of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. A lot of that stuff is connected with the runes and all of that right there.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to places. So these are different variations of certain people. Like the Keta, and you deal with the Turkic script, which the Turks are descendants of Kemet in Egypt. And you see, if we go into some of the stuff with August Khan and his connection, because he had on his head the horns with the sun descent. which is venerating again the goddess. But really, it was a universal headdress. Brothers and sisters wore it. You know, and this is what I was talking about here. You done seen the pictures of August Khan before with the scimitar. But look, there you go, right there. That's a false picture. We're gonna give you what he really looked like.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? See up there what's on his head? See what's on that belt right there? That's the head of a cow, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a Kemetic style headdress on the head of one that's supposed to be Turkish. So he got our bloodline in it. And August Khan is the one that said to bind them ones up there in the Caucasus Mountain. They tried to get that credit to Alexander the Greek in the Quran too. They said the Lord of Two Horns. This is the Lord of Two Horns right here. August Khan. That the Quran referred to. You know what I mean? Come on, man. We ain't gonna let you get off on us. And not only that, we even got the picture where he laying up under, and I got it on my page, where he laying up under the sun disk with the Adendis rays coming down, with the hands on the end of it, with Turkish writing on it. So he definitely knew what his roots was. And that's what was being pushed. And he had a fez on his head too while he was under it. So, when you look at a lot of this stuff here, I mean, like I say, it's right there, family. It's definitely right there for the people to be able to see. They just got to do the research. So the connection is there. When you look at them writings, some of the writings they have right there, that was their particular inscriptions that they have.
Looks like the Mercedes-Benz logo, huh?
Yeah, all that stuff right there. See, here's some of the symbols that they have here. This is the look at the Emor symbol right here. The See what I'm saying? The Bayat. They got all these different things here. So man, I mean, all I can say is people just got to study. And they'll learn better and stop letting Rome tell them anything and running with it. We do this to free the minds of our people. There you go right there. If you want to know what I'm talking about when I say August Khan had the same headdress, straight out of Kemet right there, fam. We cannot make this stuff up. And who gonna check us? Islam, family. It don't get no plainer than that right there. Signs and symbols of a conscious mind and men and women of understanding. Islam, Sister Curta Bay.
Islam. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to you, God, man, for this powerful, powerful class this morning. And all I can say is, book 'em, Daniel. We got you now. The truth is out. And all the information that I'm listening and watching that you brought forth, it just reiterate to me that we were here first. No matter how far you go back, we are the ones who gave civilization to the world. We gave it all. We were here. We were the ones who was here. All of this is ours. And I just encourage my Moorish kin who's out there in live and YouTube and listening, please keep an open mind, because if you get caught up in what Gardelia and all those people have said and lied to us, you have to realize, family, that we've been lied to. We've been lied to for a long time. And now the truth is being revealed. The cover is being taken off. And I just encourage you to do your research. Our instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheik, is doing. I mean, he's giving you documentation and some of the things that he's showing. Some of it I was familiar with, but I didn't have. I heard about it, but didn't have no way to go back and pull it up like he he's pulling up now, and he's pulling up all of this information. And if you can't accept that, I don't know what else we can do to let you know, to get the truth to you. You just have to do your research and realize, number one, that you've been lied to. You've been lied to. Stop taking what the Europeans say. Stop taking their word for it. That's the hook, line, and sink on all things. What they say, that's it, and nothing else. That's not the case no more, family. You was a nation of people. You are a nation of people, and it's time for us to rise up, and be the nation of people that we are. Oh God, man, you got me excited over here, but I'm going to continue to rest and listen. But this is a grand class. I love you, Moors. I love you. Islam. Peace and love.
Islam and peace and love. We give honors to you, goddess and queen, for that grand sentiment of expression. Allah's lead on and victory is sure. We had the brother creator of the boundless universe ask, would it be possible to establish a class in Geese and language? And myself, brother creator of the boundless universe, I'm not an expert in Geese, so I don't want to teach what I don't know, but I can teach you the root of where these languages come from, is what we emphasize. And, we more dealing with the roots of where everything is, rather than all the other different languages in and of themselves. Not to mean that we don't study them. We just trying to give our people the basis of what they dealing with now. Most of our people dealing with Hebrew, they dealing with Arabic, they dealing with what we call Matheno'S. They ain't really heard too much about the hieratic and demotic, but them the things we trying to get them knowledge of, because that's what people trying to manipulate them upon. If Geese was one of the languages that was being used to manipulate, then I'll be teaching on that too. You know what I mean? But we trying to teach our people the thing that we dealing with now, to show them how they done been lied to. And there's nowhere in the Geese aspect where I feel like that's doing harm to our people, because that's our people, that created that language. So but we give honors to that thought. Who knows? Maybe in the future we'll go into some of those things as well. But it ain't hard to deal with them. The way that we teaching the language here, though, you can learn any language you want to learn. That's basically the way we put it together, was universal. No matter where you go, you'll be able to use the knowledge that you're getting from these things to go and deal with it. And maybe that would be a good thing. Like if you had a thought to go up into it and go into it, and even come on here as a guest and you teach us something about some games. We ain't trying to monopolize the whole thing, and and like we the only teachers, we can hear from our family as well, in regards to dealing with that. Because I think that if you inspired by the thought, then that thought was meant for you to bring it into the manifest, so to speak. But Islam. So is there any other scribe that would like to give their portion? Because a lot of this was dealing with the history of showing you where all the language that's attached to Arabia actually derived from, basically. So we understand not one, but two or three different expressions coming up out of there came from our people, Islam, before the Arabs got there in the modern time. So is there any other scribe that would like to exercise their fire before we close this demonstration out?
Islam,
Islam, Grand Secretary of State.
having already risen and given praise and honor where due, I just wanted to give honor to our family online and our scribes, and also to you, um, Dr. Shahid. This class has been very powerful. It's been very extensive with a lot of keys, and definitely in using a hammer of repetition. It causes one to want to go back and do further research, so that one can be what they know, and this is why it's a blessing to be here in our theocratic government, because this is what it's about: communication, teaching and instructing, so that we can recognize what are the chains and the lies that kept us bound down, looking at each other cockeyed, and see we have more in common than we do differences. And when we look at the fact that we're all children of one Father, this is added proof of such a demonstration. So the whole point of keeping things on a separate level where we look at the differences, bring about wars and misunderstandings and things of that nature. If all of us have the realization and dealing with all truth is one, and we come from a source of divinity, there's no need for that kind of hatred, division, or what have you. So that's just my measure, because it all stems from that love divine extending out to all. So gratitude more for bringing forth this special class. Peace and love.
And gratitude and peace and love to you as well, Grand Secretary of the State. And a powerful measure brought forth from the treasures. And so we pretty much have demonstrated to our people again how these things have evolved into what they evolved into, by showing the final script. And again, I want to just show our people this just to show it. And we're going to pass this demonstration to our family so we can shut it down and move to the next destination. And we'll be coming around again, going back to Kemet. We're going to get into the symbolic expressions of a lot of things and go into that measure, because we got to use the hammer of repetition. We're moving through cycles in these classes. We're going to start calling on some of our scribes to also give their measures, and open up the way on certain findings that they have as we go through these measures as well. So let me make sure this is open first. We're going right back where we were, right here. This is the chart again that best express how these things evolve out of everything that we said. We can see again the influence of the Demotic as we had it up here. Also the Demotic that we showed you earlier with the cursive style writing that the Arabs adopted, which they used to become similar to this, the Nakashi script. This goes back again into the original Kufic script, which is going back into basically the same as these scripts here, Petra, Abu Shadir, Nabateen. All this is precursor to dealing with, Arabic. A lot of these scripts were present there. They all came, and then this came on the manifest, which was also influenced by Mudar. So, you see they got the Alif, Ba, Jim, Dal, Ha, why over here is Alif, Bet, Gamil, Dalit, He, Wa, which is more what the Hebrew used for their expressions, but you can see, definitely the connection between the two. See how the G becomes a J? Dal, Dalit, Dalit, Dal, Jim, Gamil, Bet, Ba, Alif, Alif. See, He, Ha, Wa, Wa, Zain, Zay, Het, Ha, Tet, Ta, Yod, Ya. See? Kaf. You see the P is interchangeable with the F in sound shifting. Cap, Kaf, Lamed, Lam, Mim, Meme, Noon, Noon, Samek, Sin, Ayin, Ain, Pe. See the F, Fa, Sade, Sad, Quap, Quaf. See the P and the F again. Res, Ra, Sin, Shin, Ta, Ta. Now let's count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You see? Now we notice that in most cases we say, well, it's 26 letters or 28 letters in the Arabic. But what happened is that this is the original root of the 22 before they add other measures on to them that make them the extra 4 or the extra 6. So the basic root of alphabet, all alphabet come from a 22 letter root. even all the way back to Phoenician. You see what I'm saying? And all the other stuff come into play, which is really a branch off of what's already here, and they use them in the form of vowels. Like the H become the letter E, and the Y become the letter I. The W become the letter U or O. You see what I'm saying? A-E-I-O-U. Aleph gives birth to the letter A. So the vowels actually spin off from here. So if you say A-E-I-O-U added to the 22, then that make that what? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. However you want to put it. You know what I mean? And it depends on who it is that created the language, where it come from, and all of that. So I'm just showing you the modern evolution through this chart on how Arabic becomes Arabic, but we can see that Arabic in all aspects of dealing with anything that came out of Arabia, it came from the Cushites, who were inhabitants of the Nile. Not only inhabitants, but the Cushites, the Tarseti, as they call them, out of Nehesi. These were the people who actually established the Nile Valley civilization. Asar was a Cushite in all actuality. So it was these people that brought the great civilization in. And then, all these other pharaohs come on to manifest. Cush was the one that established Kemet, contrary to popular belief. Cush was the one that established, Arabia. They come up out of the holy city. Same people. And we see the connection of the Sabians also to, being our ancestors mentioned in the Quran. This is why I say we draw from the Sabian tradition, not the Arabian tradition. Our tradition mentioned in the Quran, he said that they will have their reward, the Sabians. These were the people Muhammad studied with. It makes sense because they was in Arabia. It would make sense that if he got the prayer postures from them, and we can see that their language is linked up with the Mudah, where everything came out of Cush and Kemet, directly and indirectly. So with that being said, family, it don't get no plainer than that. This is our conclusion dealing with, the introduction, to the Arabia, the Quranic Arabic, and so forth and so on, because we do know that Mudah was the Arabic of the Quran, and that would have been the Arabic of our ancestors, not the modern day pale Bedouin Arab. So we have to know the difference of what means are we thinking with Arabia, and what it means also to deal with being Arabized. Original Arabic wasn't even Arabized. It wasn't no Bedouin Arab or nothing. It was Cushitic before the Arab got there. See, this is the type of stuff they don't teach you in history class, nor among the auspices of Western academia, because they don't have this to teach you. They can't teach you what they don't. They can't teach you what they don't have. That's why this sounds different. But we just showed it, like Sister Curta Bay. We done showed everything. Brother Marvin Edward Bay, you have anything you want to say before we close it down, brother? You the only scribe that hadn't spoke yet. If our brother is still present. All right. I think our brother may be busy then. All is well. The love thought is in the ethers, brother. Marvin Edwards Bay. All right. Let's call forth our good brother Tara. Brother, you can definitely take us on out. If you got something you want to say on the way taking us out, that's good and well as well. But all is well.
Islam, and just want everybody, just as we see, this is for us. This is for us, and it's by us. So and it's free. So take heed to that. And with that, I will read the warning. January 15th, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your card to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive the reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, and cease wearing the turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued, and you all to your love to each other. And with that, we will then close our meeting. Islam, 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 and peace be upon you.
And Islamism, people.
Gratitude, great class. Peace and love, Moorish Ken.
Great class, beautiful measures. Islam.
Islam. Peace and
Great
love.
class. Great class.
Peace and love.
Honest to the scribes, man. Goodness gracious. You know, they gonna learn that we was the ones that brought civilization in. One way or another.
Islam.
That's
Islam.
right.
Yeah, they can't
Honor
run.
to you.
We love you, Morris.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
See y'all in Sunday school.
Islam.
Islam.
Praise
Islam.
the Lord.
I'm gonna get up here and go to trying to spray this ceiling. Islam.
Be safe.
You already know. We'll do. Oh man, we want to give honors to our family out there listening in. You know, as well. Honors to all of you family, Brother Barn Dog, Meat Freedom. Want to give honors to you as well. Gabri as Gaspier. Honors to you from London family. Always checking in. Creator of the Boundless Universe. Brother, you know we love you. Noble Brian. It's all love. You already know. And I think this may be a goddess here. Sister Sunshine L. You know, goddess, honors to you and welcome to the channel. Tune in and be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe. And you know, make sure you check out some of the videos. So Islamism without the schism. Peace and love. See you in the next session.